Welcome back to Sark on Sports. My guest joining me now is the current president of the Michigan Central Student Government, and he, along with CSG, have launched an initiative to try and resolve some of the acrimony between the Michigan Athletic Department and the Michigan student body regarding the controversial ticket policy change for the 2013 season. Now, here to talk more about that, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Proppe. Michael, how are you doing today?
Good, Jay. Thank you so much for having me on. Really
Yes, thank you
appreciate
for
it.
joining us. But hey, let's dive right into it. So when the new student ticket policies were announced in April of 2013, how soon after that did CSG decide to take action, coming up with a plan to have a discourse with the athletic department?
About 5 minutes after we got it. This was the day before I was actually sworn in as president of the Central Student Government. The policy was announced, and the student body went ballistic. There was a petition signed that got about 3,000 signatures. Facebook groups were springing up. I was getting a bunch of emails. And so we knew we had to do something to address this. So it was 2 days later. We were in our first Central Student Government Assembly meeting of the year, and we passed 2 resolutions. The first one said that any future ticketing policy changes need to have student input in them. Seems reasonable. And the second one opposed the general admission ticketing policy that was being put in place. So we came out firing right away.
All right, and as you just mentioned, social media had some resoundingly negative comments from many students. You and CSG developed a survey that was sent out in October that had nearly 6,000 responses, and 76% of respondents opposed the policy, as opposed to 17% that supported the new policy. What were your thoughts immediately upon receiving the results of the survey, and how did that affect your ongoing talks with the athletic department?
Well, it wasn't terribly surprising. Everything that we had heard up until that point was negative, but it was nice to have some data behind that and to have so many students express disappointment with the policy. But you start thinking a little bit longer term here. If we have 77% of the current season ticket holders not satisfied with the policy that's in place, are we going to retain them into next season when the schedule's a little bit weaker? And are we going to retain them long-term as alumni, as donors back to the university?
All right, and then this is a quote from the Michigan Daily on October 8th from Zach Helfand. And then there were the 6% of those who support the policy, about 60 response, who said they were in favor of the plan because they enjoy standing in line. Can you make anything of that?
A little strange. You know, it's only 6% of the people who like the policy, so we're talking about a relatively small number.
It's a very small number.
This was one of the goals of the athletic department, was to make that student queue a fun experience. I mean, they had a DJ, they were bringing in pizza, they had charging stations for your phone. So that was something athletics was trying to achieve. Clearly, not many people thought that was that great of an experience. Not that many people were waiting in line, actually, by the end of the year. And there's probably 20 to 30 of them are just trolls. Who
I was going to say, just why not? We'll mess with the data a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, so now one of the bigger problems people had more so than GA, including myself, was that there was a 25% increase in price last season as well. Michigan has the second most expensive tickets among FBS schools, and it's possible there could be another increase for 2014. With a significantly weaker home schedule, do you think the only way the athletic department may alter their stance is if the students choose not to buy tickets?
Yeah. So the pricing thing is really interesting. First, so the University of Michigan is one of a few schools that doesn't have an athletics fee. So athletics revenue from students is coming from students buying tickets, which is good. I don't think there should be an athletics fee. The increase, at least the official word from athletics, is that increase is going to fund the rec sports building renovations. So if you work out the math on that, they're raising about an extra $1 million a year, which is going to the rec sports renovations, which is something that definitely athletics has housed rec sports in the past. It just recently was adopted by the Office of Student Life. So it makes sense that athletics is contributing to those. Does it make sense for athletics to pass that directly onto their student season ticket holders is an open question. The price will not be going up next year.
Fantastic news for students.
Yep. So it makes sense. I mean, you take a look at the schedule.
I was going to say,
it's
no
brutal.
Ohio State, no Michigan State. If Penn State's your premier home game, you cannot be raising costs.
And that's the fall break game.
Oh, wow.
So,
my.
So we're hurting next year to fill the stadium, right? So the price is not going up, which is good news. Will the University of Michigan lower the prices or change the policies if students stop buying tickets? I don't know. You certainly want to have a big student section. It creates a home field advantage.
It's what makes college football college football.
Exactly. But at the same time, the students are getting a half-price ticket. And so if you don't sell the ticket to a student and there's somebody who's willing to pay the full price, that actually isn't hurting the athletics bottom line. So you have to try and parse out what are really the motivators for athletics with this.
Prime example of that was when they added the 2,000 seats behind the student section for
Right.
public purchase. And those were always full, even during the Akron game when about 80% of the student body elected to show up late or not at all.
Yeah.
And then finally, you touched on this a little bit earlier. How do you think this current system between not just football, but even the new basketball seating system, how do you think that's going to affect athletic department and student relations in the long term as students like myself who are graduating in May are going to become alumni soon? You think this may make for a tenuous situation down the road?
It'll depend on how it's addressed. If athletics takes all the input that CSG has gathered, that other students have given them, and do make changes that improve the student experience, then that's going to be a positive outcome with the student relations. If not, then, like I said, there's concerns. The students who are graduating right now are about to become alumni. The university is very reliant on alumni donations, on alumni coming back for football games. And so if that link is lost, that's a serious long-term concern for the university. So I think athletics, we've opened up a good dialogue with them. We've held a lot of meetings with officials in the athletic department about this and basketball. And so they're listening. And so now we just need some action to come out of that. And so I'm hopeful that we'll see some changes that are positive going into next year.
All right, well, best of luck on your efforts. Thank you for joining us today, and hopefully it'll be a little bit of a better situation next year. No sudden ticket policy changes for students who bought for tickets.
Agreed.
Michael, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, we will be right back after this quick commercial break.